Kratom, how you got involved with it, what your interest is. It's not a lot of people that, seek me out, come to me, but when they do, it's generally about Kratom.
Right.
And everybody has that same stigma where so much of the media was talking about it being for addicts and opiate abuse and all that stuff. So there's been that stigma. I know that was a little bit with you.
So the craziest thing with me was I knew nothing about it. I never heard that it was for addicts I knew nothing about it whatsoever. A buddy of mine, I was living in Florida, and a buddy of mine was like, "Hey man, there's this place called the Purple Lotus, and you got to try it out. It's walking distance from your apartment." So I lived on Southeast 2nd, and that place was on Swinton, which is like 2 blocks away. So you got to try this place. I said, "Make sure you eat something before you go." Said, "All right." So I went. Me and what the hell is he talking about? I'm thinking it's a food. I thought he misunderstood. Don't eat. I thought I misunderstood what he said. He said, "Don't eat." I thought it was like go there to get food. So I go in and the place wasn't what I expected. Obviously, it was like almost like a little hut, and there was a little bar in the corner there. And I was like, all right. He's like, yeah, order a Komodo, and a Komodo was half Kratom and half Cava. So he said, yeah, order a Komodo. So I order a Komodo and I drink it, and my wife drinks it. And I just didn't feel good. I felt like my stomach was a little upset. I didn't get sick. I didn't feel good. And my wife was like letting my kids run around the place. My wife was like full of anxiety. And she's like letting my kids do whatever it is. And I'm like, what's wrong with her? I'm like, I don't feel good. What's wrong with her? I forgot that we even took the stuff. He goes, did you eat? And I hit up my buddy. I'm like, yo, what is that stuff? He's like, I don't know. My wife loved it, but I wasn't crazy about it. He's like, dude, did you eat? I'm like, no, I thought you said don't eat. You said, no, I said eat. Long story short, we ended up going to the other Purple Lotus in Miami. That's on top of his building. So ironically, he lives on top of the one Purple Lotus. I live around the block from the other Purple Lotus. We have it again. I'm like, holy shit. This stuff is amazing. Now I don't know what I'm taking.
Purple Lotus we filmed at too, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was the one in Miami, or
I think it's one up here.
I don't know, but I think there's 3 of them. I ended up becoming a regular, of course. So I didn't know what I liked about it. I just knew I liked the Komodo, and I knew it tasted pretty awful. I didn't know if it was the Cava or the Kratom or both, whatever. I just knew that was the thing. So I thought I liked Cava because that's what you taste when you have the Komodo.
How often do you consume Cava?
Now, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I do like it, but I just love Kratom.
I'm not a huge fan of Cava.
Yeah, I don't love it. I like it.
A little bit is good.
Yeah, exactly. I like it. So I was, man, this stuff is awesome, man. And it's like, it kind of suppresses your hunger because if I take it, like the last thing I'm thinking about is eating. So, when I'm dieting, it just puts positive thoughts in my head. I'm like, man, this stuff is awesome. And then like I had Cava on its own once. It's like, I like this, but I don't love this. And then I had Kratom, and then I found Kratom. My buddy who put me onto that, put me onto the Purple Lotus, sent me to a website, like some sketchy website. I bought it, and I was like, yeah, this is exactly the feeling I want, and it freaking changed my life. I've never had a drug problem. I don't even like to smoke weed. I don't, nothing. I hardly even drink. But this stuff, with Fight Week, when I was a top 10 fighter in the UFC at welterweight, and I'm fighting. I know I'm going to fight in front of millions, tens of millions of people are going to be watching me fight. And I'm dieting. I don't feel strong because I'm malnourished, and just to make weight. And the only thing that would help me fall asleep, I would take the stuff at maybe 6, 7 o'clock at night, and it would take every negative thought that I would have out. It would erase it, and then it would only make me think of positive things. It would make me think of my kids and me getting my hand raised, and I would envision, and then eventually after 3 hours, it almost forces you to fall asleep. Yeah. And that's the way I take it. Everyone feels different because my wife can't sleep on it.
She can't?
Not that she can't sleep on it. It just keeps her mind going. Not in a bad way. You kind of like, but I needed, not that I needed this to sleep, but it really helps.
It helps, yeah.
Fight Week, the best thing ever. The only thing that stunk about it, Fight Week, you get a little bit thirsty. Right? Oh. And you're thirsty, the one thing it does give you dry mouth, and you're like, but I drink. I stay hydrated the whole time. The only time that I can't be hydrated is the night before weigh-ins. And that's the night you have the worst sleep. And you need that's when you're the most anxious because you're the most malnourished. I would just take it, I suck it up, sleep, wake up, make weight, and then perform. And I said, did you
take Kratom going into the ring?
No, but I have friends that do.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that do. Every person in the mixed martial arts industry that I gave Kratom to takes it regularly now.
That sense of well-being and the positive place that it puts you, I think it'd be good for.
Yeah, it's.
I take it as a pre-workout always.
Yeah. It's incredible, and it's like, and I think the biggest issue, I wouldn't say issue, the biggest problem with it is that everyone's dose is different, and everyone's body takes it in differently. So it's like, all right, I've been taking it since 2014, and I still take the exact same dose. I never built a tolerance. Where my wife has been taking just as long as but she built a bigger tolerance, so now she takes much more. Yeah. And then but if I took the amount that she took, I would get sick. And I mean, I'm not throwing up, but
it's the same thing with everybody. It's if we're going to be adults about it, it works really well.
Exactly. Really just like if you go into a bar, you're gonna have 6 shots of tequila. Maybe I could handle 6 shots of tequila better than you will, but. That's only one part of it, because I think it affects everyone a little bit different too. Because I have it helps me relax my brain, think positive thoughts, go to sleep. Whereas like someone like my wife, it stimulates. She takes it during the day.
We know Kratom's sister, the same family as the coffee tree. Yeah. Coffee has alkaloids called caffeine, affect people a lot of different ways. Right. There's different types of caffeine, ways that we can slow release it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a Cava bar, so I was like, how are these places not open everywhere? How is this not the new bar? Why are these things only in Florida? And then I moved back to Long Island in 2015. I'm like, I have to open a Cava bar in New York. I don't think there was any in 2015. If any, there was maybe just one. And then obviously I was still fighting and stuff, but for that purpose, I feel like. People they have their routine. They go to work. They wake up. They go to work.
You get me excited about the Kava bar.
Yeah, they have their coffee. They have their coffee. They have they have their croissant, whatever it is, and they go to work. Why can't they have? And now my Kava bar is in Pacho, which is a big party village. It's loaded with bars and stuff. So what happens? So a lot of these before people start their job. In the restaurant industry, regardless of their waiter, bartender, they come to us. They have their Kratom. Coffee is no good for them because that dies down in a half hour. They need to work a 5-hour shift, so they have their Kratom. They get their Mai Tea, and they're good for them. And it's clockwork every time before they.
Why do we have to call it a Kava bar instead of Kratom bar?
I think it's unfortunate because I think that Kratom just has a bad name because from people's when they see that a lot of opioid a lot of addicts take it. Yeah. It's just associated immediately.
Kava's an approved supplement, the FDA as well.
Right.
So that's
that's what I was going to say. So at least the FDA recognizes Kava, so it's easier to say Kava. They've been taken in the Pacific Islands for 1,000 years. It's part of our culture. Whereas like Kratom is it's only known as, it helps people get off drugs or drug addicts take it. That's if you really look at it, if you really turn a blind eye, drug addicts take it. It's no good. I don't want to be associated with that. Opioids are the worst thing. It killed my cousin or they killed my brother. And I don't want to go to a place like that. You call it a Kratom bar, now they're looking at it like it's an opium den.
In the first movie, I went on, when we were making the first movie, I went on to Reddit. Right. And they have that Quitting Kratom forum where people are just like devastated by Kratom and destroys their whole life. And there's story after story. Right. So I went on there and I started asking people, can we interview you? Can we meet you? Yeah. No one would meet us. Yeah, it was always, we know somebody who's going through this. Who knows somebody. I haven't met anyone personally that has had a problem. I've known some people that are super sensitive to it.
So what I think would be better than a Kava bar would be something almost like a juice bar. Not like an acai bar. A juice bar, like a all health food juice bar, and it would just be all natural Kratom leaf. Not even lemon, nothing, just all natural. Kratom juice and drinks, all natural, wheatgrass, all natural. And you could add Kava, but that would just be a small item on the menu. Agreed. and then you could have the cocktails with the kratom and the whatever, the turmeric, whatever it is will fit your needs the most, or add a little extra caffeine if you want to.
Do you have additional ingredients you can throw in there? Turmeric, that little stuff.
We do.
Kind of like a juice bar.
We do. We add. We have a turmeric shot for $2. We have a CBD shot that you could add to anything for for $4 more. So we do, but we're kind of skating on thin ice because we don't know. It's not recognized as an approved supplement. So to add any kind of food source or something,
That's the big deal. We have. So Kratom came back up on Nevada's radar this last year because someone was applying, a guy from New York, was applying for a license in Nevada where he wanted like a grab and go drinks.
Right.
So he could come in and grab a ready-made tea is what he wanted to serve. Right. And so Nevada came back and said, no, you can't add, you can't add a food additive to water. Water's not.
That was a huge issue that I had, but that was with Cava. I didn't even mention Kratom. I've had that issue with Kava because they're saying that Kava is a dietary supplement. So when the first person brought Kava into the United States, they brought it in as a sleep aid. Yeah. In a pill form. So FDA just looked at it, okay, this is a supplement. Even though that's not how it's consumed. It's consumed as a beverage. Regardless if you mix it, so okay, fine, it's a dietary supplement. But they're trying to say that water is a food source. Yeah, they're not saying that water is the mixing component. So that's where the argument is. It's how naive the health department or the department regulating the system.
Board of Pharmacy in Nevada, they went as far as, so they were talking with Mac Haddow, AKA, and so Mac's talking to him and they said, well, food, you can't mix kratom and water because it's a food additive. And the guy at the Board of Pharmacy actually said, that's why we don't sell kratom in Nevada. Max says maybe you should go check your stores.
Yeah. But I believe his name is Steve Shapiro. He's an attorney. And he he didn't really help us out that much because but
he recited FDA.
Yeah, he had a good he's on our side 100%. And he's saying that water is the component, is the delivery component. Just like if you take an Advil pill, right? And so that shell, that shell, whatever it is, that's the delivery component. That's how you take it. That's why you can't just put your hand in the aspirin, and so that's the component. So water is the component, is how you take the Cava.
So water's a special designation on its own.
It should be
because of tea and coffee it's nothing.
But it's the same thing as all these natural teas. So they're supplements. All these soybean teas are supplements, but they don't have an issue with it because I think Kratom and Cava are associated. So they have more of an issue with Cava because it's associated with Kratom.
Well, and there was some. Back a few years ago, there were people that were, in order to stretch the Cava further, they were actually putting some of the leaf and stem matter in with the roots, and so it caused liver damage, I believe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, if it's not manufactured properly,
none of the other components of the plant can go in.
It could be pretty dangerous. It could dry your skin out too. So if it's not strained with a real fine cheesecloth or whatever it is you want to use, if you take in those chips, it definitely could be taxing on the liver. Yeah, absolutely. That's Cava though. Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of Cava, but
it's funny because it's like I'd say half of my customers, it's half of them are Cava only, half are Kratom only. Well, there's a few that take both, but they're like, oh yeah, I'm more of a Kratom person. No, I'm only a Cava person. Because some people, they take Kratom one time and they took too much, and they go, it upset my stomach. It's not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Where it's like, you have to be a little more open-minded. Hey, you probably took too much. Whoever told you to take it messed you up.
Right, it's all about finding that sweet spot. Just once.
Yeah, people are going to abuse anything. It's not up. It shouldn't be up to you and I to control somebody's
behavior.
Yeah, behavior and what they're going to do. You could abuse cheese. It hits the same receptors that the Kratom hits. You could take too much of it and be like, hey, this guy's addicted to cheese or whatever, But
So is
chocolate.
Is the attitude in the gym pretty much open about Kratom now because you?
Yeah, I have an urban ice case and we sell the stuff, and anybody. I give it to a lot of my friends too. Because I don't do it to make money.
I've got I'll send you 3 or 4 cases of palm shots. I'll just give them to you.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so I don't sell it at the gym to make money. I have enough business, and I'm not saying that I'm too good for this to make money. I am just so passionate about the product.
And that's what I love too. Let's get it into the people's hand where it's going to make a difference for them.
Like someone says, hey, I suffer from anxiety or I can't sleep at night. I said, do me a favor. Don't give me money. This thing is $50. I don't even want. You want another one? I'll give it to you for exactly what I get it for. I'm not doing this to sell you, but I'm telling you this could change your life.
That's perfect.
Take this pill. Take 2. Take 2. And if you talk to people, they say you can always take more. You can't take less. Take 2 of these things. Yeah. You don't feel anything. Unfortunately, you didn't have a good night's sleep that night. The next night, take 3. You know what I mean? Like, okay, but you're never going to need more than 4 of them.
Your wife, that was the first thing she said to me. Yeah. Your products changed my life.
Oh, my God. So my wife was on, not to bring her involved in this, but my wife was prescribed Xanax, like a super high level Xanax, like the max you could get. And she's on a bunch of different, like Klonopin, like whatever, like a bunch of different pills just to kind of deal with her anxiety. And then she would smoke weed to change her mindset, to kind of calm her down. And then she would take the Xanax to take her off the weed high. She was just constantly trying to.
There used to be a real kind of stigma to pills. People taking pills, Xanax, the psych drugs, and so forth. Now I think there's more of a stigma if you've never taken them. So it's the opposite. That if you haven't taken them, you're not working on yourself.
Right.
It's a weird kind of new shift in things that people see people adjusting. Right. Someone might handle it well and adjust well, so everyone now they want to try it.
And so my wife literally, she was self-medicating herself and just kept constantly staying on it. Like she'd take this to sleep, this to wake up, this to get through her day, this to calm her down from getting through her day. And then all of a sudden she took Kratom. She found Kratom. And it was the same thing. She tried the Komodo and didn't know if she liked the Cava or the Kratom. And then she goes, holy shit, this, depending on how much of each I take, if I take a little bit of it, it helps me get through my day, and then I take a little bit more, then I let it run its course. And then at night, I take a little bit more to help me, so I can have that kind of like that spike down to help me relax. And it changed her life, and it's all natural, and she has nothing but positive things to say about it.
That's one of the things that we've been talking about is how do we get this to soccer moms who are getting stressed because they're holding the family together, so they're dealing with a lot of the stuff of the family. It becomes the pressure point for the whole family.
And that's why I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of this because I want to get it out, and I want the public to see this as something that's not a negative thing. Yes, it helps people get off drugs, right? That's one of the positive things about it. It's one of the positive things about it. But I've never had an opioid problem. I hate taking opiates. I've had 9 surgeries. I've never went through one thing of my pills. Never even went through a whole prescription. I always hated them. So I don't even know what it's like to be addicted to them. And I'm not taking it away from any of those people. But the way that Kratom's changed my life is totally different than the way Kratom could change somebody else. So the rest of the world needs to know that it could change your life for the better, not just because of that. Yeah. And that's immediately when you look at it, they see, that's what heroin addicts take, or that's an opiate. Because if you look at the first page on Google, they say opiate.
It's two pages now. We Googled Kratom yesterday, and it's just bad news after bad news after bad news.
I go, you want to really learn about it? Go to AKA. Check out the AKA, and then you could learn some of the positives.
You've seen the commercials now, right?
No.
So they have commercials, I know, on Fox News every morning.
Oh, I didn't know.
So it's actually AKA commercials. It's a couple veterans who's jogging and doing a few things about how Kratom helps them get through his day.
Oh, get out of here. Yeah. I had no idea.
Really good commercials.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, they're on national TV now, so.
Right.
Now that...
now, who's funding those?
AKA, we are.
Yeah, essentially at the end of the day, we are.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. But it's not like...
But that's one of the problems with the Kratom industry is everybody wants to kind of scurry when the light comes out.
Yeah.
So they're leaving all the burden of the financial stuff up to only a few companies also.
Right. We were speaking earlier about like someone goes, hey man, I don't want to talk about this if I'm not getting paid. And I think the reason for that is because if you're coming public about Kratom, right, there's going to be controversy. So now you're kind of taking on people that immediately want to talk back, want to say something. But if you want to say, oh yeah, I took opioids, like, oh my, and people will immediately feel bad for you. Yeah. Oh my God, he had an opioid problem. I feel so bad for this guy. But if you want to say, oh no, Kratom helped me with this. No, it doesn't help you. There's, a record of 6,752 deaths this year. You know what I mean?
My mindset on that is always, if I found something that can help me, I kind of have an obligation to share.
Well, that's how I feel too, obviously. Yeah. But you and I are different than a lot of people. A lot of people say, all right, this is my network. My worth is this. And if you want me to talk about this, I deserve this because I have to deal with, my network is this big. So I know that out of my 100,000 followers, 20,000 just want to disagree with whatever I say. No, it doesn't matter. If I say that's black, they're going to say that's
I wish that part was easier, tracking influencers and being able to know how does somebody really influence the market? Do they change things with their opinion?
Right. I think I'm a little bit too old for, and I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like I just missed the wave. Like I started fighting the UFC and marketing. I was already in the UFC before before Instagram got famous. I was already in the UFC. People were on it, but it wasn't like the biggest thing. So I didn't really understand how to use the tool. And then by the time it really got famous, I had 2 kids and it wasn't like a part of my life. It wasn't a part of my life. And now I'm done fighting and now it's like, all right, I only have 10,000 followers. And it's like, I didn't really captivate the market where I should have.
But you still have the opportunity because you still represent a shit ton of fighters and a ton of success.
I'm still in the game and I'm still involved with a lot of the high level fighters.
Who's the next up and comer in your gym?
John Gotti. John Gotti III is my guy. I spend a lot. He's 25 now. He lost his last fight, but it's unfortunate, man, because John Gotti is like the most humble, nice kid, and he's really shy. If you look at him, you're like, oh, he's a stuck-up guinea. You know what I mean? Because you think he's a really handsome kid. He's jacked. He's built. He's exactly what you'd expect him to be. But he's like really shy and really, really humble, man. He's like shows nothing but respect. So people are just immediately, because someone doesn't talk a lot, they want to assume that he feels some type of way because he fits into this persona. And he's such a nice kid. He's so super eager to learn. And
what weight's he at?
170. Yeah. And I see him getting better every single. Every time we train together, I see him getting better. But I think. He went, every once in a while you have a bad week. He took a fight during the pandemic. He wasn't dieting the way he should have. My classes weren't the way that they normally were. His training schedule was a little different. He had the worst weight cut. He was like on weight like 5 days before weight. And this guy walks around close to 200 pounds. He was on weight like 5 days before weigh-ins. Like, that's a big deal.
Deplete yourself for 5 more days.
You only have 24 hours to rehydrate and put that back in your system, and he didn't do it. I could tell. I saw. We went out to dinner that night, and he was like eating like a bird because his stomach was shrunk. And then you see, he after the first round, killed the guy the first round. Second round, his arms are like this. He couldn't even. He had no energy, no gas in him, and the guy wasn't. And he might take it offensively when I said, hey. That guy wasn't better than. No, I don't care. No, I don't care. You can say it. No, the guy wasn't better than him, but.
Who'd he fight?
He fought some Nick Alley. His name was. The guy was. He's a 500 fighter. He's like 7-6 or something like that. His record was. This guy's got 11, 12 fights, but it wasn't that guy was better than him that night. It was just that guy was exactly what we thought he would be. You just didn't rise to the equation. And people don't want to hear that because they don't want to hear like no that guy. Was on, and I was a little off, but he was on that night. Like, no, that guy wasn't on. You killed that guy just training.
I'm sure he beats himself up over that shit.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But I'm gonna give it to him straight, and that's always what I do. I kind of give it. I'm not here to coddle you. You want to fight, like, this is fighting. You know what I mean? I can only hold your hand to the cage, but you got to fight, man. So, regardless if you want to hear it or not, man, I've been knocked out cold in front of millions of people. It fucking sucks and it's embarrassing and people talk shit. You got to learn how to get through that shit.
But you don't know until it's over.
Yeah. What happened? Did I win? Yeah. So we have John Gotti. We have the kid Brian Kelleher.
Yeah. He was on a run.
Yeah. No. Brian Kelleher is awesome, man, and he's his own worst enemy. He if you look at his whole career, he wins 3, loses 1, wins 2, loses 1. You know what I mean? It's like,
but he was winning fights I didn't think he was going to win.
No, me too. He beat Henry Barrow. He beat some really good guys. I just think that the recent one he lost, that guy was just, he fought up a weight class because it was a pandemic and they needed something, and that guy just put that extra 10 pounds on better than he could have. You know, he doesn't have the best nutrition, and you can just see that guy was just a little bigger, a little faster, a little stronger. You know, he knew how to use that 10 pounds better than.
Did you guys push nutrition?
I try, but I mean, I do so much shit.
Yeah.
How many hours are in a day can I help somebody? You know,
but if you get affiliated with one of the meal plan companies.
No, but the difference is, especially with fighting, it might be different with weightlifting, but fighting, everybody is totally different. Like my body is carb sensitive in the way I need to eat insane amount of carbohydrates. Like fats won't do the trick for me. Yeah. Like I need carbs to work my body, whereas somebody else needs to only use carbs right before they work out, and they're. You know what I mean? Like everybody.
I've gone back and forth. I was.
It's 100% true.
Carbs, no carbs. Now I'm back where I love the carbs.
Well,
I feel so much better.
I think it's just the way that the way your metabolism works. All right, how is your body eating those carbs up? What is it doing with those carbs? I could be doing nothing and I'm eating carbs up. Yeah. So then I need to double my carbs when I'm doing something. You know what I mean? And if I'm not on carbs, I'm like mean to my wife and I'm angry and. That's funny. And I don't think the protein and the fat has as much of an effect on me. Obviously, the protein's going to help my muscles.
The biggest benefit for when I went carnivore for me was not having to eat, so I could go longer periods of time without eating,
right?
And not get hungry.
Yeah, and that's what I like about that too.
Yeah.
But I need carbohydrates. I
need a plan to eat better, just like
Yeah.
just like our Kratom music.
I think what it comes down to, I think you have to get your blood work done because that'll tell exactly how your body is burning what and what it needs, what it's low on, and then go on a diet there, because what could work for me probably won't work for you. Sometimes I go until 2:00 without eating, and then sometimes I eat what we had in this morning, 2 breakfasts.
I was always comfortable not eating in the morning, and then when I started working with Sammy, it's like gotta fucking eat.
Eat as much.
Yeah,
as
that's Sammy's push. Is eating and pushing.
As long as you're burning it,
feel so much better.
As long as you're burning it, you're going to the gym and stuff. That's you're putting everything your body to work.
Yeah, because I'm actually working more and
of course.
Working out harder. So
absolutely. I think that's
because of the Kratom. Some of the new products that we're coming out is we've got this. I don't know. It's really a conversation for you and I about menstrual cycles, but. But that's our newest one.
But I think that's we showed that product to my wife, and my wife is like, oh my god, and she's super sensitive with her menstrual cycle. Like it's like sometimes she gets PMS, so I really only get 1 good week out of her. She has like a 3 weeks of PMS, and then she has the period.
I was in a relationship for a couple of years where. Once a month we broke up.
Yeah.
Every month.
And it's real, and again, like we were saying before, it's everybody's body is different. Everybody reacts, but so if you could kind of zone that in to kind of maintaining it. And
part of the thing is just labeling it so women will know that they can use this product for this. Right. Because it's the intended use.
But I think that Kratom, and that's why my wife loves it so much, is just kind of levels you out, where it goes, all right, if I'm anxious about this or I'm annoyed by this, like just take it and just kind of helps you deal with it. And then I'm not really familiar with all the other products you have in there, but my wife knew about all of them, and she's like, oh my god, I take this. So it's a recipe for success if you look at it. Now it's just branding and getting it out there. How can we show the world that this can do this?
Part of the issue is, of course, the drug issue, but then we have the world of the Kratom advocates too.
Right.
So there's all these people that are pushing Kratom and supposedly fighting for it.
Right.
But what happens is they become interested in a particular brand or a particular thing for financial reasons also.
Yeah.
Then everything becomes about, well, this is what I do, but I'm doing it for my purposes.
Yeah, of course.
So we have so much of a problem in the industry where people are pulling against each other.
But now it's everything's changed too, because now everyone's their own brand because they have social media. So it's not like, oh, I work with this. Like, no. Like, who's going to give me the most money? I don't even need a manager. Yeah. Oh, give me the most money to do this. And now it's just like, you're just a walking advertiser.
Mike Perry.
Yeah.
What did he put up? Let people bid on cornering him?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's actually pretty funny.
That's super funny. But yeah, with the Kratom advocates, they fight us more than anything, because right now we have some news. Like Dr. McCurdy and UF are talking about this human trials this year specifically for sports injuries, which would be super cool to help some athletes get through some stuff. But we can't really release the information too early, because then the industry isn't working together for a purpose. Right. They're working against each other for profit. Right. So it makes it really difficult to get some bigger stuff done.
And it's not a big enough industry where people they don't think there's enough to go. They don't think there's enough to go around, because it's still not mainstream. So they're like, oh no, like I need to cap the market. It's a lot. That's the whole thing with the Cava bars too. All these Cava bar owners look at all the other Cava bars as competition, because there's only so many of them. Where it's like, no, there's way more than enough to go around.
Spreading the word, yeah.
So
this hasn't touched everybody.
I want there to be more Cava bars, because that's going to bring more people involved. More people who are going to be aware of it.
Well, that's the whole thing with Kratom, is we hope that we get some policing in.
Yeah.
So with all the new stuff, hopefully now that this FDA letter came out, or the HHS letter came out about FDA, hopefully now we'll start leaning on the bad apples in the industry.
I think like one brave soul needs to come out who never had any issues with drugs, and never and never really kind of doesn't have any negative, but is just as much of a positive influence on on people as an influencer or an athlete, whatever it is they want to call themselves. And they need to be like, hey, listen, Kratom is the best. It's all natural, and this is why I take this. Not because I did drugs, or not because it's not even recovery from working out. It's because it makes my day go smoother.
When Trump was president, we had some real opportunity. Right. Like Kobe got to Trump just by saying that, and if he would have been on our side, we could have had some major impact there.
I know. You're right. You're right.
Nobody's getting to Sleepy Joe.
Yeah, no.
But that would have been the thing if one of us could, maybe not me, but I know Mike. That's one reason
his son is a big MMA fan. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was like arms reach away. But
missed opportunity for sure.
Missed opportunity, absolutely.
I don't know that the science, because the science is so far behind, or the public's opinion of the science is a year and a half behind where they are. Right. And we can't really inform them, because then these scientists want to publish their papers and they want the news to be news, so we can't release the information. Right. But the public is very much acts against their own best interests.
Yeah, it's true, and I wouldn't necessarily say that the pandemic helped or helped it by any means, because it's like there's so much crazy shit going on in the world. And like the whole thing that happened with the stock market, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, they passed Kratom. Like, oh yeah, who cares? The freaking stock market just crashed or whatever, or Bitcoin is flying through the roof. There's just so much shit.
Our business went up.
Yeah,
I'm assuming most everybody in the Kratom industry did.
The Cava place I opened the week before the pandemic started, and I, not that I'm killing it. I'm not, it's not. But I never had to come out of pocket 1 month since I've been there, and it's only going up. My revenue's only going up.
I mean, it's like your wife. She mentions it to 3 people.
Right. But I don't think it went up because, the science is proven. I just think it's like, people are bored. You can't go to bars anymore. You can't, let me try this stuff. I'm depressed, because a lot of people are depressed. They either lost their jobs, or they still have their jobs, but they have to work at home and they don't like their freaking lives. Yeah. So, let me try Kratom. I'll feel better.
The most depressed group in the nation are the not wealthy, but semi-wealthy stay-at-home moms. Yeah. Because they're just, the husbands swept them off their feet. They don't have to do anything. Yeah. And they're in a position that they don't have a lot to contribute because they're
But the husband still has to work, so they're not getting to see him. You know what I mean? Not seeing him as much as they would like to, and they're stuck with the kids.
That's a consumer we got to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
The soccer moms.
The soccer moms. That's really where it comes down to. And I sent you the article the other day. Did you see that? I don't know why they had that video from 2018 at the top, but if you read the article, that's what they said. This is the drug. Yeah. This is the supplement that you could take. This is addicts take it, but soccer moms love it the most. But
soccer moms benefit the most.
They do benefit the most. Think about it. It takes the depression. It takes the negative edge off. That's the only thing it does. It's a mood enhancer. That is the best way to explain it.
We know as far as pain goes, when you're in a good mood, you're in less pain. You're paying attention to other stuff. All your problems go away when you're in a good mood.
So Gregor Gillespie, he's like a top 5 UFC fighter. He's a Division I national champion wrestler, 4-time All-American. I mean, his credentials go on forever. He says it the best. He goes, and he's a miserable guy. I mean, he's a great guy. Like if we hang out, but he's just a miserable. He doesn't like to talk to people, and he's like, he kind of, if he's walking down the street, he's not even looking at anybody. He's just a miserable person. And he says Kratom changed his life because now he does private lessons stuff. He's like, picture the one dad that you hate training the kid, not because you hate the kid, because you hate talking to that dad so much. Picture that person. Picture liking talking to him. Picture reaching out, like looking forward to talking to him. That's what Kratom does for you. He goes, I won't teach.
He's excited when he sees the dad come in and wants to talk.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He said, I look forward to it now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he said, I won't teach without it. That's awesome. He won't teach without Kratom. It's 100% truth.
I mean, I've been taking Kratom now 12 years.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You were taking it before it was cool, dude.
Yeah. Well, as soon as I got a hold of it, I've been taking it pretty much.
Yeah, you tried it one time, you're like, oh my God.
It started improving the quality of my life.
Yeah.
Little bad habits started going away. I started replacing them with taking Kratom and doing something productive.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one of the things Mark Bell brings up. How is it if people take this often?
Right.
Is it really a problem if they're productive in their lives?
So the one thing that I like about it is that it's not habit forming. The only thing that's habit forming about it is
we like good moods.
You like the way you feel on it.
Yeah.
But I could not take it for 2 weeks and forget to take it for 2 weeks, and I'm not like, oh man. The only thing is kind of like art. Like you would like to have your sweets after your dinner. Yeah. It feels nice. I like the way my sweets taste. The same exact idea.
I've been taking it for 12 years, and I forgot it where did I go? I went somewhere and had a bunch of shit to do, and I was a little grumpy and a little tired the first day. Second day I was back and fine.
Yeah, right. Totally fine, completely fine.
A lot of people talk about Kratom Withdrawal, and that's another one that when we were going through the Kratom Withdrawal stuff and everyone was talking about it back in 2016, I went on to Reddit trying to find somebody who's in active withdrawal and this is a problem for. Let's talk to them.
But it's not. I don't think it's unlikely for there to be a Kratom withdrawal. I don't. I think that you can. But you can also have a cheese withdrawal or a chocolate withdrawal, or if you are addicted to reading a book, you could have withdrawals from not reading for time.
If you're abusing or taking a lot of Kratom, you're definitely gonna have some issues.
But you're not gonna have these withdrawals where you're in bed, throwing up. Like these opioid withdrawals, and that's what people need to know is that you could have withdrawals from anything.
It's similar to withdrawal from caffeine
or sex, right? Think about it. From sex, you're addicted to having sex, right? You have to have sex every day, blah blah blah, and you're gonna have withdrawals from not having sex.
I think that's more of an anticipation problem though.
Yeah, but I'm just
because you're thinking of the next time.
Yeah.
People don't like the terminology. It gets you high.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that when I get high, it feels my mood is uplifted.
Yeah, high.
I'm not impaired. Right, I'm not impaired. It hasn't altered my judgment.
That exactly.
But I feel really good. I feel uplifted.
Yeah, absolutely. And same thing with Cava too. I think that Cava, you could drink Cava because the thing with Cava is, you drink 2 Cavas, right? And you're like, oh wow, I feel nice. So it's kind of like having 2 beers, right, or 3 beers, whatever. Yes. But if you have another Cava, it's not like having 4 beers. It's just like, now I don't feel as nice. Now it's like I'm a little upset. So like, yes, you could drink as many Cavas as you need to, but it's not going to alter your mind
Are
state.
people building tolerance to Kava?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the tolerance for Cava is so it actually has a reverse tolerance Cava, but then it's a reverse tolerance, but then it changes.
What do you mean reverse?
So it's kind of like weed. The first time you smoke weed, you don't get high. But
I don't know that.
no, but
I've heard it.
First time you smoke weed, you don't feel it.
It.
So the same thing with Cava. You have one Cava, and you're like, I don't really feel anything. I think I feel it. So like, and then like, no, have another one. And now your body, your brain, you're training your brain. Like, this is what you're supposed to feel like. Oh, I like it. And then the next time you have one, like, oh, like it triggers that spot in your brain. Like, I like the way this makes me feel. So you don't need to take more. But then I think, if you have it every day for a month straight, like, okay, yeah, I need 2 now. Actually, give me 4.
The people that are coming into the Kava bar and to get Kratom for the first time, what's kind of their, when they come in and they want to try Kratom for the first time, what are their thoughts? What are they saying? What are they talking about?
So I was totally new to the industry, so I had to try. It was kind of a trial by error thing. I just kind of I didn't like to use, before I met you, I didn't like to use the word Kratom because it was negatively associated with opioids. So I'd be like, oh, this is mitragina, speciosa. And I was like, and then we come out like, oh, this is our green tea, this is our red tea, this is our gold. And then it was like, people were like, well, is it Kratom? Yeah, and then I'm like, all right, yeah, it's Kratom. Say it's Kratom. Try not to use Kratom. And now I'm like, I'm happy to say, yeah, this is our Kratom tea. Blah blah blah. How many have you had it before? Do you know anything about it? Okay, it's an uplifting. If you take it in small doses, it could be very uplifting, like coffee. It's part of the coffee family. If you take it in large doses, it almost gonna have like a sedative effect, almost like an opioid. So I wouldn't recommend taking too much.
Are they coming into the bar specifically to try Kava and Kratom?
Yes. Well, some people, because it's in a very popular village, some people come in like, what is this place? I'll take 2 vodka sodas. Like, no, sorry, we don't serve any alcohol. What do you mean? We're a Kava bar. We're traditionally known for Kava, but another drink that is very popular is our Kratom teas. We have we specialize with a red tea and a green tea, and we give them the whole spiel. Green is go and red is stop type of.
So you're throwing water soluble CBD in for an extra shot?
Yep. Yeah. So we had.
What's that source look like?
So I've tried a bunch. It's all a trial and error thing. So we do. I get a 10%. Well, now I have a 20%. So I get. It used to come in a powder. And then you'd have to put it in hot water, and it would have to melt. That was the initial. That's like they said that's the most natural way to do it. And then we went to a liquid based type that you just drop it right in. Yeah. And I personally don't feel CBD.
You test it?
Yeah, I've tested it. Yeah. Oh no. Well, it comes tested. Yeah. They when they send it back to me, it comes with the lab with with me with CBD. It's. Not saying that it doesn't work.
I'm so with you.
I just don't. When I take it, I'm not like, oh my god, like this is where people. There's people who swear and say, oh, CBD has changed my life. I don't have back pain anymore.
When I first got associated with CBD, we were looking for a local manufacturer, so we went to, I can't remember the name, but when we went to their office and talking to them, they're showing me emails of people writing them like they took Kratom. Yeah. This has changed my life.
That's the people we need to find.
Yeah.
So obviously they're okay with trying a hemp plant.
Yeah.
These people think that CBD does the trick. Oh yeah, you like CBD? Try this. Those are the people.
CBD wants to be Kratom so bad.
Oh my god. So, but the CBD market is bigger. It is, but it isn't.
I guess there's still a lot of growth into new customers, but
it is, but it isn't, because now I think the UFC is making a partnership with one of these CBD.
I think Dana's got a company.
Yeah, I think it's CBDMD or something.
So when we were talking about new people coming into the Kava bar and Kratom, so if they're unsure, they don't know, so they're coming in. What do you guys do here? How do you pitch Kratom versus Kava?
So I pitch in both. Yeah. I pitch it both. I say, and I had to teach. I had to kind of train the Kava tenders how to present, each of the two. So with the kratom, it's a pretty much an easy sell. And I think the first thing I say is part of the coffee family. Yeah. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's no caffeine in it. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be wired all night. It's the sister of coffee. So, all of the leaves make you feel a little bit, have a different effect, So the green is more of like the most steady one. That's like your daytime drink. You could take the green and you feel, that's your daytime. And the red is like your nighttime. Like, all right, you're going to take that maybe 2 or 3 hours before bed. And then, it gets carried away with gold and yellow and white. And the white is supposed to be the most uplifting. But we just kind of say it's just like alcohol. If you're going to take too much of it, you're not going to feel great. And if you feel good, do me a favor, take a small tea. Let me know how you feel after an hour. Don't expect to be drunk because you're not going to have that feeling. You're just going to feel a little bit better.
It's such an odd plant, especially because there's so much history of people saying red vein, green vein, white vein. And at the University of Florida, we started doing that research to find out the difference. We started growing plants, importing them from Malaysia, Thailand, some of the old growth stuff, bringing green leaves in, and being able to run that through the machines and test out what the differences. Genetically, there's only one plant. Right. But the plant morphs so much. Like the same plant will have some smooth, rounded leaves and then might have some horned leaves on the same one. The same tree will produce all 3 colored veins. Right. So there's not the distinction in effects from the vein or the color veins itself. We found it has much more to do with the drying techniques and literally the color of the product when it's delivered. Right. So the darker in color seems to be more sedating.
Really?
I believe that firmly. So the lighter the green, the really light greens, lime greens, be much more energetic.
Right. So that's good to know because now I actually know because I was like, it's all the same stuff.
It is all the same plant, but they do dry it differently. Right. Growing conditions are going to be different.
So what I always tell people too is because everyone gets it from. Saying some people I get it from the smoke shop down the road. I get this from this one's Silly Sally's Kratom. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, and like this one is Silly Sally's red. It makes me it's the best nighttime drink. And I'm kind of like every plant is going to be different. Like if you go and you get a tomato right, or in Florida they have the best oranges right. You have an orange there, and then you go to Idaho and their oranges there aren't as good. They're both oranges, and they're both the same. They say the same orange.
Could have come out of the same orchard.
Yeah,
one's a month old. Going to Idaho.
Yeah, and one tastes good and delicious, and this one is like a little watery and not delicious. I think it's the same thing with kratom. It's like every plant is going to be different, and everything's going to test a little bit different. But I think it comes down to like, all right, how many alkaloids are in, are in this particular kratom plant compared to that particular kratom plant. I think that's what it comes down to.
I always love when you see a kratom vendor saying that they have this unique kind of boutique strain that nobody else has access to. Right. And when they're harvesting kratom, I mean, they're literally coming along the rivers and they're topping the trees. They're taking the top 8 to 10 foot of the trees, dragging them into a place, and they're harvesting leaves on tarps. They're not holding each leaf up saying, red vein in this pile. Yeah. Green vein over here.
That was my understanding too. Yeah. So like how are people saying that they're getting the best? They have the best red vein or the best green.
Well, I mean, there's supply chains out there, and there are some better products than others, but the better products get bought up first by the largest companies. Right. So someone like OPMS is going to have. They're going to get their lion's share of the very best product because they're first in line. And then the rest of us kind of line up accordingly.
But as far as the red, green,
it's all bullshit. You can't say there's no way that we can tell that that's an actual red vein plant. There's no way with the dried leaf material that we have because it's been ground up with other leaves. It's harvested with all the other leaves. There's just no way.
That's interesting to know.
Yeah, it's impossible for us to know. And if the same plant is producing all 3 colored veins on the same plant, I mean, how different can they be?
Yeah, it's good.
So, but yeah, definitely the biology or the ecology of each plant.
But just like the marijuana plant, right? So let's compare it to the marijuana plant because like some marijuana plants.
Let me hit one point before we go because one of the things it bothered us so much that this whole effect thing that we started kind of playing games with ourselves. I've done it with Sammy as well. Yeah. Where I'll put the same product in a couple different jars let it sit and see if it affects me
While
differently.
you're in the bathroom, as we were just talking about.
It absolutely does affect me differently. My mindset for taking that product has a lot to do with the effects.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's 100% true. So, but now going back, so like if we're going to compare it to the marijuana plant, right? So like, you know, some strains are high sativa and some are high indica and some are, you know, now everything's like a hybrid of every, you know, this, that, and another. And
I don't think there's that indica sativa thing that's even happening though. I think it's bullshit too.
I always felt the same. I just always hate the way weed makes me feel anyway. So I couldn't say that I feel one from one type of.
They're both so strong now.
But either way, some plants when they test it comes out 22%, come back 18%. Some can make someone feel one way or another. That's got to be possible. It's got to be very similar with kratom.
Yeah.
No.
Well, they have. I mean, there's definitely going to be different effects based on the ecology of the plant, the way it's harvested, dried, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
We know from the University of Florida, where we're growing plants, that the alkaloid content changes from morning to evening.
Right.
So if we harvest from the plant at morning
Right.
and evening, those are going to have different alkaloid contents. So they're going to be slightly different just based on the time of day we harvest.
Right.
I mean, it's a fickle little plant that, you know.
Yeah. It's a pretty freaking cool
And, and there's so much that we don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Over what we know.
It's just like even if they've been doing research for 20 years, it's still light years behind.
And McCurdy has been working with Kratom for about 20 years now.
Yeah. But still light years behind anything else. You know what I mean? You need 80 years of real research. You know.
Well, in 2015, when we were talking about making the movie A Leaf of Faith, we started digging into where are we going to get our Kratom research from.
Right.
Dr. McCurdy had just left Ole Miss and came over to the University of Florida, but at that time there was no Kratom research taking place in the United States. None.
Right. Yeah, no.
You know, and so we knew I had a real obligation to. I wanted to know whether this is safe or not. We're starting to get big, and I'm starting to push this out to a lot of people that are, that I'm being concerned now because I'm hearing all the negative stuff coming back. Oh, this is bad.
Because I didn't know it was safe either.
Yeah.
I did not know it was safe. When I was taking it, I didn't know it was safe. There wasn't much research that I could on Google. I didn't know. And when I met you, I came home from Vegas that time with a grinning from ear to ear because I know that other people think exactly like how I think, and there's a large community about this.
Well, we had to know. That's why I personally spent that much money. We spent close to $1 million just funding research.
Yeah.
And that research directly led to the NIH funding from University of Florida.
And knowing that it is totally safe, because I did watch before meeting you. I did watch the Leaf of Faith documentary, and I felt better about it. But I still felt that it was only for people to get off opioids.
I mean, when you see it in a little baggie, in the dark powder in a baggie, it looks shady.
Yeah, of course. Like I brought some here, and it was next to my money. I pulled that out. It looks like I have some kind of shady powder in my hand. And I was like, here, you have this.
And then also being associated with the drug culture, and a lot of the people that first started speaking up about Kratom were people that had horrendous opiate stories and just horrendous health stories where Kratom literally saved their life.
Yeah, of course.
But Kratom was like the duct tape that was holding their life together. So when these people would come out and they start talking, the rest of us are looking at them like, holy shit, this person's duct tape is holding them together. And so we look at them like that. And so they didn't necessarily fit the role of,
Yeah, that's like, do I want to be like that guy? Like that guy's a lunatic. You know what I mean? But you're right. You're right.
And I've always felt Kratom belonged in sports nutrition. Because that's the use I had it in my life.
And it stinks though, because then people see like, oh, this guy Kelly is a lunatic. This is what's helping people get it. This guy thinks that he's going to get people into sports nutrition. Like, what does he think? Like, he's crazy. Yeah. But they just don't. They're just people who are very closed-minded. They're looking at it from their side. But they didn't talk. They're not going to call me a lunatic because I know that it helps in the sports nutrition. Yeah. I know for a fact.
It is absolutely.
I'm proof.
So many of us use it as a pre-workout.
I'm proof of it. Yeah.
Pre-workout, post-workout.
Yeah.
Helps with pain, lets you play with pain. It belongs in sports nutrition.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to work with some of the people with sports injuries, and we're finding out how effective it can be for people. I know we have to be careful about the way we speak about it. But.
So Vitor Belfort actually takes it, loves Kratom. So I'm very friendly with Vitor, but I haven't talked to him about it. My friend Kyle Sermonera and Caitlin Chukagian, they had at the same time they went to lunch with him for a management meeting, and they were like, somehow it got brought up. Oh, they asked me. They said Vitor was asking Caitlin and Kyle about me, like, oh, you know Ryan? Like, oh, Ryan LaFlare, I love him. How's he doing? He's like, oh, he opened a Cava bar. Oh, Cava bar, yeah. He served Cava and Kratom. I'm like, oh, Kratom, that's amazing. Oh, I love it. He's like, do you have any on you? And Kyle's like, yeah, I actually have some. I get it from Ryan. You want some? Gave him some Kratom. He's like, oh, this stuff is the best for the inflammation, awesome. Recovery. And he was like all over. I still haven't talked to him. I was hoping he would be at the gym yesterday because I wanted to talk to him about it. But he loves Kratom.
So I'm certain of it because I remember Vitor when you saw it first came in. You know, he was looking, kind of got a little deflated. Then he started taking Kratom and got pumped up. That was the Kratom, huh? Yeah, Vitor's good with this stuff. No, I loved him. Yeah, he's old school, badass. Yeah,
that guy is one of the most misunderstood fighters.
Yeah,
and it's like kind of like everyone looks at him with the negative. You know, like, oh, we cheated, blah blah blah. But that guy's he's an OG.
Yeah.
In the UFC, he's still dealing with the unfortunate loss of his sister when he was, at the top of his career. His sister was kidnapped and they still never found her. His parents refused to leave the house because they think that she still might come home one day, and he had to overcome that. He found God, and he's a super celebrity. His wife is one of the most famous broadcasters, personalities. They live in Florida. Yeah. Is one of the biggest personalities in Brazil, from TV. So he's like a superstar in Brazil. So it's like, we don't look at him as a superstar. We just look at him as Vitor Belfort from the UFC. But people, and he was 19 years old. And
Brazil is in that that climatic zone where Kratom can grow too. So I believe they do grow some there.
Yeah, it's good to know. And and a lot. He was 19 when he was famous, and a lot of people took advantage of him. So now he's a smart businessman. He knows how to, and he just doesn't want to be taken advantage of anymore. So I think he's one of the most underappreciated fighters in the UFC. For sure. 100%.
He probably came the closest to beating John Jones too.
Yeah.
An armbar.
Oh yeah, that's right. He had an armbar. That's right. I think he broke his arm.
I think so too. Yeah.
Getting this out to the public and kind of steering away from the addiction side of it, because the addicts already know about it, you know what I mean? And if they don't know about it, they're going to find out about it, because addicts, that's the first thing they do. Is like, okay, what's a legal drug that's not going to come up my drug?
They've got the best network.
Yeah, they're going to find out about it.
No doubt.
But
the addiction network.
Getting that stigma away from people who hear about it, and then the first thing someone hears about is something that they never heard of. What's the first thing they do?
Google.
They Google it. You Google it, the first 2 pages that come up, it says
FDA's got
FDA, unapproved substance, blah blah blah. Death, addiction, opiate, blah blah blah. And then like, oh, what is Ryan talking about? Is he lost his mind? He must have got punched in the head too much. He's taking this drug. It's heroin. What is he talking about? And I'm like, no. So getting past that, it's unfortunate because the community's big, but it's not big enough. Okay, how can we get on the Google, get that to the top, get the positive about Kratom to the top?
It has to do with athletes like you coming forward and saying this has helped me with my athletic career.
But I think that isn't enough. I think getting it. The optimization from the internet is really how it's going to be. Like, okay, now you look. You the first page is 4 good things and 6 bad things. Fine, but maybe the first thing is a good thing.
I don't know how they've made a decision to let those bad things dominate the top. That's not straight SEO.
But it is. It is, but it isn't. There's tricks, and they made the decision. Hey, those things are on top.
Those need to be first.
But what I'm trying to say is SEO is money.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. You have to pay to get to SEO. It doesn't just happen.
And I don't necessarily have bad feelings about the way the government or whoever decides this Google stuff, because if there's potentially some harm to be done with Kratom and they don't know, that's a smart thing to do.
Right.
So I can see where that's, I'm not against the stances that they're taking as long as they follow the science.
Yeah, so I think there just needs to be more. Hey, it's all natural.
Yeah.
There's no, over the past 18 years, Dr. McCurdy's been studying this, extensively. He's dedicated his life to it, and the biggest negative that he found is dry mouth and constipation. This is the most important. That should be on. Is what we need to broadcast. There's nothing. Hey, look at all the positives, pros and cons. Cons, 2 or 3 things. Pros.
Well, and there's a separate. So there's pros, cons, and then there's that third column. What stupid people do.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it doesn't fit in there. It doesn't deserve to be on the chart though.
Yeah, absolutely. I think monitoring people's consumption could be a way to make it more of a public thing. Like, hey, I wouldn't necessarily say you have to get a prescription for it. I don't think that's necessarily, because you don't need a prescription.
Because then
to drink
someone's
alcohol.
deciding whether it's good for you or not.
Yeah, right. And then I think that it affects everyone a little bit different. Like I take it as a mood enhancer. My wife takes it as an antidepressant. You know what I mean? A takes it to wake up. B takes it to talk to the wrestling coaches. You know what I mean? So it has so many different effects. So I don't think you can necessarily say.
But that's the way we're speaking about. The effect could be just the same in everybody's body. They just have a little different intended use. There's applying it a little different.
Yeah, I just think that it just needs to get out there, and I think you need more people like myself.
Well, the majority of our sales now are coming out of sports nutrition stores, and one of the things that happens is we're fairly influential in the Kratom market. So people see what I'm doing. Now there's a bunch of other companies that are trying to follow suit in sports nutrition, which I think is awesome.
Yeah,
I think it's good. It's just
there's enough to go around.
Yeah, there's plenty of business, and the more Kratom companies that come into sports nutrition and do it well, it's going to help us all.
It's going to help the business.
And it's going to help athletes. It's going to help everyone. But that's really what we want to happen, is get more companies into sports nutrition that are willing to do things right. So one of the things that we've been having problems with, and it's the biggest problem in the industry, is Visa and MasterCard literally put in their terms of service that they will not knowingly process Kratom transactions. So anybody who's processing Kratom transactions online with a credit card is committing fraud.
And that's why there's a lot of Bitcoin. Like if you go to any of these shady sites, it's like, oh, buy through Bitcoin.
If everybody had Bitcoin, it would be a great way to do it.
Right.
But the problem is everybody has Visa and MasterCard. It's a preferred, instrument of merchandise, or preferred instrument of internet exchanges, anyways. But they have it, so they won't process it. So it makes it difficult for the bigger companies to run credit cards, because you're committing credit card fraud when you do that.
So how do you get around that?
So what we do is there's the Zelle, Cash App, and there are these other smaller, more available money transaction services, and then there's the old e-checks too.
But you just don't. Can you just not call it Kratom, or they?
Well, again, we're committing fraud at that point. So that's the biggest issue in the industry, is if we, a lot of people will play that credit card processor game where they'll have 20 processors. They're constantly shuffling and getting it going, but when somebody big does it, or when somebody wants to shut your company down or your processing down, they simply call, order some product, pay for it with their credit card. Once the product shows up, they call their credit card company and say, look, these guys sold me something illegal. They sold my kids something illegal through the mail.
Right. So, and it's the same interest with the marijuana industry.
Yeah.
People are dealing with the same problem, but that's starting to get more household, and they're starting to, we just need to kind of follow their suit, I guess, right?
Well, they've struggled and had a lot of issues too.
Of course, for a very long time.
But
I just think there's more money. I think there's more backing that industry. Right
because
now.
everyone smokes weed.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So there's more money backing the industry than there is in the Kratom industry.
Their lies don't hold up anymore about marijuana is bad for you.
Right. But it's not bad for you. Marijuana isn't bad for you. It should be your decision if you want to.
That's been the lie perpetrated on the American public for however many years.
So I guess Kratom and marijuana are very similar in a lot of different ways. It's just that marijuana is more of a household name than Kratom.
The problem with marijuana is it's a Schedule I drug, so no one has access to study it. There's only, I think, 2 schools in the U.S. that have Schedule I drug licenses for the purpose of studying marijuana. And so there's just not the studies. all the people are talking about CBD, like that we know a bunch of stuff about CBD and it's going to affect this.
Yeah, they don't know shit.
It's been it's been part of a Schedule I drug forever. It's only been available for study for the last year, and all the nonsense.
There's
about,
no proof to any. There's no proof to anything with it.
No.
Yeah, I didn't.
Lots of bro science.
Yeah, of course.
You know, which is great when you go into dispensaries and you know they start talking about the terpenes and all the different things. And you know, it's wonderful if it was that finite, you know, because it affects us all differently based on what we ate, how we're feeling.
Right.
You know.
So do you think if you know all your money's on the table, are they making they're going to create a Schedule I, or are they going to make it?
It's gonna. I put all my money on the table. It's gonna be a supplement.
It's going to be a supplement.
I've got a year in advance notice of the science.
But if it becomes a supplement, you can't make all the Kratom bars can't serve it as a beverage.
Right. Well, there's room for it to be a supplement as we move into extracts, and then have the idea is to keep the raw material, the powder, as a food.
Right.
You know, so it's more of a tea or a food. But then when you move into the stronger extracts, you know, they're specifically for purposes.
Yeah. Right. So now, do you see what is the possibilities for that happening? Like what, like
worse, you know,
because Cava has been around for much longer than Kratom.
It's still fighting,
and I mean, and
fighting for their own survival.
I'm struggling worse with Cava than I am with Kratom.
Well, hopefully we have a better lobby than they do.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what it boils down to is money. You know, everybody wants to jump in and talk about how they can help the American Kratom Association. How do we help them? How do we back them? Right. Spreading the word doesn't help. No. Sending money helps. Yeah. This is a financial battle. Right. You know, it's about paying people to fight this battle for us. Right. So we need, you know, the AKA needs money. Yeah. You know, it's great that we support them, and it's great we have a bunch of people on the internet spreading the word. But
are all the Kratom companies supporting AKA?
They should be.
In the U.S.?
No.
They're not?
Very few. Less than 1%.
Come on.
The only ones that are supporting the AKA are the ones that are doing it properly. Right. And the rest of the industry, you know, slides free off of us. Yeah.
What you're doing.
They let all the advertising and stuff come from us, and then they slide in. Yeah. But there's probably, how many, 20 or 30?
Supporting?
No, companies on the AKA now.
About 35.
Yeah, 35 or so,
right.
Which is great.
Yeah,
you know? Because consumers have a choice. Yeah, but consumers have a choice now. Yeah. I mean, a couple of years ago there were 2 of us. Right. You know, now we have 30, 40 companies that are doing things right. That's, you know, it's a move in the right direction for sure. Yes. Better for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, push them all into sports nutrition and we take off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ryan, you know, thank you so much for, you know, doing this interview and coming on camera and all this stuff. We appreciate you in the movement so much, and you know, I love having you on the team, and
absolutely.
Look forward to a lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah, I appreciate being here, man. I was happy to be part of the team.